Hello. I wanted to make this video because I know I say a lot of things that often people might not really understand, and I felt that in this day and age where we are really facing the fact that an old world is collapsing and a new world is being born, we have an invitation to understand more about our soul's journey as humans through life, and to also make the choice about whether we want to live as our programmed self with the inheritance that we were given by our parents, which is, there's going to be a lot of good stuff in there, but we are wired to survive rather than thrive, or whether we actually want to take this opportunity to learn what it means to live as a being, a conscious being that learns how to thrive through uncertain times, challenging times, unfamiliar times, all sorts of times. So bear with me if you've got to dash off. I'm not going to rush. I would just like you to take the time to absorb this. You might want to write some notes. If you've got any questions, by all means you can ask me. And what I'm going to do is also explain to you how the different courses that I offer, even the yoga that I offer, how it supports you to activate your divine human consciousness, so that when you are ready to actually take a leap, you can, and you're not scared by it, or you're not put off by the fear that you have. You allow that to be a motivational force that you turn into excitement, okay? So let's have a little analogy here. I've had a little cacao making, and we had a power cup just before I made this, I started to go live as well. So we've had some challenges. Now you could say that's my programming, scared to make this video. And that would be about the fact that when we actually share this kind of information, it's really empowering for people. And it demystifies what is a starseed, what is a divine human, what is your divine blueprint. Hello, welcome everybody, welcome. And also, what does it mean to be an ascended master in training? Because I believe everybody who is waking up in consciousness at the moment is doing it. Now, remind me to talk about the bridges, because I haven't written that down. So 3D to 4D bridge, 4D to 5D bridge, because these are the analogies that I've understood through time. And a lot of you will know me first and foremost as a yoga teacher that then went into coaching, and it is actually through the coaching work that I've been doing over the last 6 years that I've had the most phenomenal leaps in my consciousness. So I want to explain that there are fourth dimensional tools that are great, that many people are using, many coaches are using, yoga teachers, therapists, etc. But this is not the same as being a divine human and birthing your divine human self, because as a divine human, you learn to consciously co-create your reality. Not some of the time, but all of the time, okay? And what that means is you own your projections, you own the miscreations, you let go of judgment, and you move into being able to be curious and to observe the state of the world and your relationship to it. And what is going on in the collective, obviously, is always affecting us. So there is our personal life experience and our intention setting that we set forward in our lives. But we don't just have us in the world and this game of life. We also have everything around us in the collective cloud, unconscious or subconscious, and also in the consciousness, which is what you'll see in the mainstream narrative, the mainstream news. All of the broadcasts will tell you anything that everyone can access is a mainstream broadcast. And in that respect, it is the narrative we're living by. So let me just start by explaining the difference between human and divine human. Okay, so a human being is obviously biological. There is a sense of being here in this world, being born to parents. It's said that we have evolved from primates. Depends what kind of theory you believe in it, really, whether you believe the religion story or believe the fact that we have evolved from animals. Ultimately, as a divine human, there's a slightly different creation story going on. But what I want to invite is this idea that you're born and you're taught how to live by those who bring you up in the world, okay? And so what is important is you may well have heard the word ego bandied around a lot, and a lot of people have a really negative idea of what the ego is. But the ego is really your programmed self. That is your conditioned responses that become your automatic responses that you have learned from your time in the womb through to the first 7 years of life, particularly once you're out in the world, okay? But you are absorbing information from your time in the womb as to what type of world you are being born into. And this is entirely determined by how your mother, the woman who grows you, so whoever womb you were in, how she perceives the world. You may have heard of the nature-nurture debate, right? I'll go into that in a little bit, but ultimately what we're talking about here is, do I feel like I'm going to be born into a safe world, or do I feel like I'm going to be born into a threatening world? And the ego programming is all about survival. So it's how we program ourselves, how we're wired to be able to respond to the threats in the environment that we're going to be born into. Now what that means really is if mum felt that life was scary, she was not well supported, maybe she didn't feel like she had the support from her partner, from your dad that she needed, or she was struggling to make ends meet, or there were bombs falling from above her head because she was in a war zone, or even now, think of the fears that are going on in terms of how everybody is either scared of a virus or of economic collapse as a result of a virus, or the impact of being isolated. All of these things are affecting unborn children right now because a mother's emotional state is feeding information to the child. And as a result of that, it's whether the front of the brain or the back of the brain is going to develop more. And when we are well supported in life, when we are well nourished, the front part of the brain is developed more. So we're able to develop emotional intelligence. We're able to stop and feel and consider before we react, unless we're in a life-threatening situation. But if our early programming, our time in the womb, is really a lot of unmet needs that mum has, and she feels unsupported and life is threatening in her perception, then we are going to be wired to be more trigger happy, which is the back part of the brain, to react first and then to think later, to reason later. So we are programmed into survival mode. And all of us have different survival programs, okay? But essentially what it comes down to is your identity is tied up with surviving this world, not thriving in this world. Because our ancestral programming, as humans, not divine humans, is designed to keep us from true and impending danger, whether it's really there or not. It might have been there in previous generations, and we have now got the information passed to us through previous trauma that then gets passed to us as programming to avoid. Okay, so that's the pre-birth programming. But then the time from 0 to 7 years is a time when our brain waves are basically, we're in a hypnotic state, a highly hypnotic state. And so we are perceiving the environment around us, we're seeing how our families, how the people around us react to it, and then we're seeing what gets us the kind of attention that we want, or any kind of attention as a result of perhaps being neglected. And as a result of that, we build programs of how to get attention, how to stay safe, how to survive the world that we are in. But that's exactly what you're wired for as a child. And if you're wired for that as a child, you are wired for that as an adult. There is no program you get given at any point that says, here you go, let's wire you to thrive. Okay? So what is the difference between that human and a divine human? Well, what I would say to you with that is that that human doesn't have particular consciousness about it beyond survival. So what do I need to eat, sleep, what do I need as my basic needs to exist in this world? I need money, I need shelter, I need someone to support me, I need food, right? But we're not really thinking about the purpose of our lives and what we're here to do and to achieve and why we're here. We're just getting on with the program. You go to nursery, you go to school, you go to high school, university, you get a job, you get married, you have kids, you then have grandchildren, you retire and you die. All right? That's the program of the human. And the divine human is the consciousness that is what I would call the birth of the starseed. So this is soul consciousness. Now, all of us choose our curriculum, our soul curriculum as we come to this planet. So it's important to remember that on this planet of 7.7 billion people, there are lots of different states of consciousness coexisting at the same time. And we look to others to determine what we should think and what we should feel, right? But ultimately, that's the problem. We look outward rather than inward. And that is, again, an example of the human versus divine human. Because within the journey of consciousness, we go from basic surviving, and part of our programming is cultural programming, religious programming, societal programming. All of that is to keep us in the tribe that we have been born into, right? And as a result of that, basically we don't like to break the programming, because if we break the programming, we're fearful that we're going to be annihilated, we're going to be shut out, we won't be able to survive without others. And that is that herd mentality, pack mentality. That is what you see in this world today, when everybody is doing as they're told and just staying safe or doing what they should be doing so that they don't end up out in the cold. Now, when we are becoming divine humans, we're starting to be curious about things. So typically speaking, people who are interested in mysticism or interested in something beyond just surviving are people who are at a stage of evolution in their soul consciousness where they're ready to question beyond their basics, okay? And as a result of this, what happens is very often you'll find yourself born into a family and you're like, what on earth am I doing here? Like, these people don't get me. I don't feel like I belong to this. And these are the StarSeeds, the divine humans that come into bloodlines to help progress the bloodline, okay? So, if as part of survival programming, mainline humans, what do they have access to? They have access to all the infrastructure of normal day-to-day life, including religion, including education, including health service, finance, etc., etc. They don't really question it. When you start to question it, your soul is evolving beyond your conditioning. Your soul is ready to start to consider yourself beyond your human condition, beyond the biology of this earth. And this is where our starseed consciousness kicks in. So in my experience and my belief, we come to this planet, and we have done many times, to learn lessons in physical. So in the non-physical realm, we are energy, we are consciousness, and we can create through thought, we can create through intention, we can create through feeling. But what we can't do is create in the physical. This is a physical, dense reality. And as a result of that, we come to this planet as souls to learn to move from just reacting to life to co-creating life. So everybody who is interested in this journey, who's curious about what it means to birth your divine human self, is already on the path of interest of wanting to awaken their soul consciousness, their divine blueprint, and their reason for being here, which would say soul purpose, right? But most of the time what we have to do is a lot of undoing of the conditioning that we've actually inherited. So, let's take this to the next level. Divine human, what's the difference? Okay, so a divine human is basically someone who's aware of their soul consciousness and is still in a physical body, is incarnate in a physical body. So they are aware of the fact that they are this biological being that has all the physical needs that we have in order to be able to survive this physical environment. But there is also a longing to move beyond that survival into thriving. And thriving is co-creating consciously. It's moving beyond the usual struggle and strife that you experience and being able to have breakthroughs in areas where in the past your conditioning would say, don't go there, play safe, step back, this isn't for you, stay in this comfort zone. Okay? So, what I would describe as starseed from point conception, which is a divine human awakening, is when you are conceived, there is a consciousness that comes in at the same time, which is your soul consciousness. So though your physical being has been conceived, it's like you're injected with a soul consciousness, which normal humans, and by normal I mean non-soul activated humans, don't have that experience early on in their soul existence, in their soul development here on earth as physical beings. They're just here to be in physical, to learn cause and effect, to just feel the effects of living without really knowing that they can make conscious choices about their lives. And then as we go through the cycle of reincarnation, we learn about karma, we learn that when we do something there is an effect, and we start to move through that, we learn to become more mindful, more conscious of how we tread on this earth. A bit like a carbon footprint, right? So that's when this soul journey starts, and at some point in our soul consciousness, we decide the next time we're incarnating to earth, we're going to bring with us this soul consciousness and get it activated in our human form. What happens with that is there is this little starseed timer in us, yeah, which is going to awaken in us certain situations in our lives where we are going to start to remember we're more than a physical human. Now, very often we have very challenging life experiences in early life. Could be from the birth, could be parental divorce, could be abuse, could be a parent dying, could be some kind of abandonment, rejection, betrayal that gets us on a journey where we go through years of not being happy until we start to seek healing. And anyone who's a therapist, right, anyone who is working with soul consciousness on any level, whether they're a coach, whether they're a healer, whether they're a teacher, whatever they're doing, has a backstory. Something has motivated them to come to the point where they want to know who they are beyond what they inherited, what they came to this earth, their parents' conditioning, etc. And this is the journey that starts. So a divine human is a physical human being who is interested in accessing their soul consciousness in this physical reality. And as a result of that, they're willing to go through the challenges that come with deprogramming survival and programming thriving. So what you're born into, your legacy, every human being, unless you've got incredibly conscious parents who themselves are divine humans, who have been through this journey themselves and are therefore bringing in evolved souls, which, you know, many of my clients are doing that already. They know that their children are going to be super sensitive to the world that they're being born into, and they need to bring them up differently. There are lots of other people doing this as well. But unless you've got parents like that, you are basically going to go through the journey of being programmed to survive and then making a conscious choice to detox yourself from the program of survival and to choose to be reprogrammed to thrive. Part of this is the choice to co-create your reality consciously, to learn how to be a master of your destiny rather than a soldier of fortune. One of the things I describe to my clients is that I cannot personally control the weather. Perhaps I can influence it with my vibration, but as there are 7.7 billion people on this planet, however many of them are consciously working with the vibration of the weather can shift it. Others are just bringing down density if there is density. But what I can do, rather than controlling the weather, is learn how to read the cosmic climate, and as a result of that, be able to make the most of the climate so that I can thrive, I can see the opportunities to grow, to learn, to evolve, and I can also support other people to do the same thing. So, what have I done? Have I birthed my divine human self? Yes, I have, because I've been through a process of taking all of my inherited conditioning from my parents, my grandparents, my ancestors, owning the painful stories that I've reenacted in my own life as a way of understanding the legacy I inherited, choosing to take the best programming but leave the rest, and then reprogram the areas of my life where I struggle, right? Or I have struggled in the past. That's me going on a conscious journey to evolve my inner family, inner masculine, inner feminine, inner child, which will all be wounded when you are in the survival paradigm, evolving their consciousness into the thrive paradigm. So I have a divine mother, divine father, and divine child within me that I can access as consciousness, and I can invite to lead the way of my journey here on this planet. Because we're all here for a very short period of time, right? We're not here forever. Most of us are aware of the fact that life is finite and that, you know, we need to make the most of it, but more often than not we're operating on autopilot. So your autopilot is your ego programming. Your autopilot is programmed for you to be fear focused rather than love focused, and it is programmed to help you survive, not to thrive. Your divine human self, I've got it written down here, is your higher self. It's the higher evolution of your physical nature, of your physical self. And it is programmed to respond to love, to expect love, to be relating to love and trust. And as a result of that, to align you with thriving through all of the things that normally your programmed survival self would be looking to keep you safe from, to avoid, so that you don't change anything, because this is the safe zone. Even though it's familiar and uncomfortable, it's still safe. This is what you know. You don't go beyond your garden, you don't go beyond your village, you don't go beyond your town, etc., etc., right? But we are learning to do this. We're learning to move beyond that conditioning. So when it comes to actually going through this journey, there's got to be a carrot, right? There's got to be a reason why you would do this, otherwise you'd never do it. So the holy grail is whatever it is you want to create in your life that to this point you haven't been able to create. To this point it's stumped you. It's not been something you've been able to do. So that motivates you. It could be that you struggle with money. It could be that you haven't had healthy relationships. You haven't been able to bring in the love that you want, or you want a baby, or you're not happy in your career. There's something that is going to be motivating you to want more than what you've got. Because here's the point of change. It's when the pain of staying the same becomes worse than being willing to risk change and the unknown. And it's not actually the pain of staying the same. It's the fact that you know if you don't make a change, things are actually going to get worse. That is what motivates people to move beyond what they know, all of the beliefs they've inherited, and they could be monetary beliefs, love beliefs, self-awareness beliefs, money beliefs as in finance beliefs, career beliefs, bird in the hand's better than two in the bush, all that kind of thing, right? All of the beliefs that we ever inherited. Those are the things that we challenge in the areas of our life that we know we're not happy. And we go on a journey where we're willing to take responsibility for getting it wrong so that we can get it right. And that is the journey of the divine human. But it's very similar to a human journey through life, okay? So when two people are thinking about having a baby, they have to think about having a baby first. Okay, sometimes you get pregnant just like that. You know, you maybe have a drunken night out, or your passion takes over and you create a baby that way, and your life starts that way. That journey of the mother starts that way. But for most part, people are making a conscious decision. They go from a place of, I'm not sure I'm ready to have children, to I want to have children, to I want to have children with this person, to let's now start this journey, right? And again, depending on their conditioning, they're either going to have an easier time or a harder time with that, again, based on the experience of their ancestors. Divine human consciousness comes when we start to inquire, is there more to life than this? Is this all that I'm ever going to be doing? Is this how happy I can be in love? Is this it? Is this how good I can feel in my body? Is this it? Is this, have I just got to accept my lot, or is there more? Because I'm not fulfilled. I'm paying the bills, I've got all of the trappings of a life, but I'm not fulfilled. I feel like there must be more to life than this. I don't have inspiration. I'm constantly in a state in my head which I can't get out of. I don't know how to move beyond constantly fearing the worst thing happening, constantly worrying, always being invested in other people's problems rather than my own. All of this is survival stuff, right? It's like just going round and round the hamster wheel somewhere in your life, wherever it is. At some point, we start to think beyond that. Is there more than this in my life? Is it possible to have more than this? And that's when we start to see other people around us. Maybe you get envious of others and you're like, I want what they've got. What's wrong with me? How come they've got it and I don't? And all these kind of questions start to bring us to the point where we start to come across people, teachers, courses, etc., whatever, where the invitation is there to have more than what you have. But you've then got to be able to take the next step and say, all right, I'm willing to take a risk, to try something that maybe I doubt will work for me, but actually I don't want to carry on as I am because it's making me sick, I can't sleep, I'm not happy in my relationships, I'm not getting pregnant, I can't lose weight, I can't stop this, I can't stop that, whatever it is that's motivating you. This is again what leads us onto our soul purpose journey. Because it's usually a problem that we have that we can't fix on our own that's going to be what makes us reach out and get the support from others. And this is when the ego or the programmed self starts to go through a process of upgrade, I'm going to call it, rather than annihilation. Okay, so this is when we see we have a legacy we've inherited, and some of it's very helpful and some of it's not. So we need to work with the parts that are not, and we need to evolve them. Now here's the caveat. Whether we're aware of it or not, so whether we're aware of our soul consciousness or not, our souls choose the curriculum of our life experience, okay? So what that means is our souls choose for us the big things we're going to learn in this life. What are the flavor? What are the things that we're going to encounter to trigger the soul lessons that we want to learn? Why do we do this? Well, here's the existential bit. Bear with me, I'm doing my best, and this isn't easy to kind of pull together. So let's just say that Source, God, all that is just an ocean of love. But you don't know that, okay? You just do not know that until you separate yourself from it. You don't know that you are a part of it unless you separate yourself from it. And so, as a result of that, you seek to separate from all that is in order to know yourself. And this is where a soul kind of descends from the oneness into separation, which is the human without soul consciousness, and starts this journey of moving back into oneness with the divine. This is how I understand, okay? The vibration of love is the divine, that unified field. But I don't know I'm a part of that unless I separate myself from it and then step forward again. So the journey to incarnate, to separate from the oneness energetically, to experience this human condition, this dense life, the physical experience of pleasure and pain, all of this is part of our soul's journey back into oneness. We don't know it initially. We incarnate several times, often hundreds of times, before we start to question. But in order for us to then be able to go beyond what we know, what we're doing is we're then having life experiences and either reaffirming the ego programming that we had, sorry, that's 100 fairies just been born, or we choose to actually look beyond it and say we want something more. So in this journey, the ego says, I must do everything myself. I can only rely on myself. I am not safe to trust anyone else. It's me, myself, and I. When we are divine humans, we are co-creating with the divine. We are calling in our soul consciousness. We are aware we have a soul. And we're also aware that if we're experiencing some kind of hardship in our lives, that is because we are here to learn from that lesson. We are here to evolve our soul consciousness through something not coming easily to us and us having to align better with it. And through the journey of that Holy Grail, that thing that you really want, you're willing to go through the discomfort of challenging your programming to get you to the place that instead of trying to rely on that survival programming, which is me, myself, and I, what you're doing is you are allowing yourself to surrender to your higher self, to your soul consciousness, and to put your soul in control, in the driving seat of your vehicle through life, rather than your ego programming, which is your 0 to 7-year-old child that has misinterpreted a lot of what it's seen in the world in those early life, in early life, and has made all sorts of assumptions about the world that it then lives by in adult life without ever really checking in with whether that program is actually correct. And if you want evidence of that, my friends, just look around the world, okay? Just look at the people that are in power. And you tell me whether you believe they are evolved souls, aware of their consciousness, aware of the fact that they're here to co-create best outcomes with everybody else, or whether they're actually just trying to stay in control, dominate in order to feel safe, control others so that they don't feel threatened, and basically keep promoting the program that this is the way it has to be. You have to give your power away to external authority. You must bow down. You are not powerful. You must be fearful, because all of these things keep us in that tribe mentality where we don't challenge the tribe rules, and therefore they never evolve. And there is a global tribe, there are cultural tribes, there are religion tribes, there are continent tribes, there are country tribes, town tribes, village tribes, you get it, right? So let's just take this back. Soul consciousness, soul truth. This means that I've come to this earth. I know I'm going to have challenges in my finances and in my relationships. Particularly, I'm going to have relationship problems with a child or a parent or a sibling or whatever, because I'm here to learn now. I'm here to learn how to see the other person's point of view, how to be able to create healing where there is conflict, and how, as I heal what is within me, my vibration changes. My vibration is my energy field, so my expectations change. What got me into all of this work in the first place was a simple statement. As we change our view of the world around us changes. Now we inherit a view of the world. That is your ego self survival programming that most people are operating from on autopilot. You also get to shift your perception consciously to how you want to see the world, and then get everything to align with that by seeing what is in resistance and bringing it up. So, in this soul journey, there has to be a desire to incarnate your soul truth. There has to be a desire to become aware of who you are beyond your physical human self. There has to be a desire to challenge what you've been told about yourself, including yourself beyond your human self. Because perhaps you have had religious indoctrination, and I'll call it that because we have different religions. They believe different things. They might more or less be saying the same thing, but the way that they're put forward is different, right? Same with spirituality, same with yoga, same with anything. So all these different schools of yoga, you train in the school that you train in, and suddenly that's the only one that exists. Everything else is wrong. This is more programming, folks. We either are programmed to separate or we are programmed to unify. And in the journey back into unifying with Source, we are going to bring all the parts of us that don't operate in alignment with unification, the parts of us that want to stay separate, the parts of us that want to survive, and we bring them into an invitation to thrive. So if anyone's got questions, do let me know. I am trying to keep an eye on that, but this is quite big to kind of bring together. So the desire has to be there. In the desire, you then need to conceive this version of you, right? And this version of you is already actually conceived at your conception. It's activated. There is a starseed consciousness there, which is your soul consciousness, which is not just your physical inherited conditioning from your parents and from your ancestors, your bloodlines. It's your soul consciousness, which enmasses everything you've ever experienced from when you became aware of yourself beyond the unified field of Source. Okay? So this part of you, if we put it really simply, 144,000 facets of the feminine, 144,000 facets of the masculine that need to be reunited in order for our divine blueprint, if you like, to be fully active, our diamond light body to be fully integrated, so we can really become one with Source again. But this time, we're one with Source with a slightly different perspective. We are aware of ourselves within the wholeness. And this is what we get to experience on Earth. We get to experience being in a unified field, wanting to create harmony, peace on this planet, and to join with others of like mind, like vibrational intention, but we still retain our own individuality. So the divine spark that is me is different to the divine spark that is you. I'm bubbly. I'm generally quite sort of energetic. Others are a little bit more timid, right? We have different expressions of the same thing. How many different colours are out in the world? How many different levels of vibrancy of those colours? Then mix those colours together, right? There's so many infinite expressions of the divine. Each one of us is unique. And when we want to know our souls, when we want to consciously co-create our reality, what we're doing is we're saying, oh, I want to awaken this bit of me and get this bit of me to lead the way, rather than the programming that has kept me in the struggle paradigm. But I have to then accept that who I am is not my identity. Who I am is not my programmed self. It's not who I think I am, who I've been told I am. It is who I discover I am by letting go of all of that conditioning. It doesn't happen overnight, all right? It's a process. So as I was saying to you in the process, you have to have a desire for it. Then you need to basically go through a process of, from the conception, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to create, this is what I'm going to create it, to then gestate, to be in a pregnant state, to then be given birth to then be nurtured in the early infancy of your divine human self, and then to be able to move through the child and adolescent and young adulthood period, which is what I would call integration and embodiment, before you can actually teach, before you can master and teach this, right? So this is the journey. And, you know, what are the gifts of this? What is it actually going to help you to do? Well, I believe we're all, those of us who awaken to our soul consciousness, are ascended masters in training. So all of the ascended masters that have walked this earth were humans, right? They were humans with a higher consciousness. They were humans that were embodying their soul consciousness and learning to live by it. Those who you hear about creating miracles in this world, whether it was Christ, whether it was Sai Baba, being able to bilocate, be in different places at the same time, being able to teleport, so not being in physical, being able to go elsewhere, travel the universe, multiverse, whatever. All of these beings are activated soul consciousness. They are awakened starseeds. They are divine humans who have gone through the discipline of deprogramming from their conditioning and actually choosing to align with their soul truth and discover their power to co-create their reality consciously. Now, did they go through that process themselves consciously, or were they enlightened? Well, there's a lot we can go with here, but ultimately let's keep it to us. For us, our journey, as birthing our divine human selves, is to have a desire for more than what you've got, an inspiration to guide you, a willingness to commit to a process that you know at times is going to be challenging just because it's unfamiliar, but the holy grail is keeping you going because it's like, I really want to have these things in my life and I don't have them. I don't have them at the moment and I want them, so I am prepared to do whatever it takes. And often we're really scared what that means. But all that really means, and I really want to excite you about this, is you're going to go through some uncomfortable moments when your old self really wants to kick in and basically push and pull and like force others to behave the way you want them to, or project your pain onto others, or try and insist things be a certain way. And also, these are the parts of you that when you are evolving your consciousness are going to kick and scream and say, no, no, this is who you are, this is what you do, you don't do anything else, and here's why. And often they can play with sabotaging your environment a bit, so it can feel like as you set an intention to move forward, suddenly life isn't supporting you to do that, and that's not the truth. What's true is parts of you are not supporting you to do that, and it's important to be able to bring those parts of you to consciousness, because this being, me as a physical being, has a vibration that I emit. That vibration that I emit then makes me a magnet for experiences. So what we need to do is we need to activate our soul truth, our divine consciousness, our superconscious. We then need to get our conscious mind, the thinking part of us, to do in alignment, to make choices in alignment with higher self-truth. And then we need to be prepared for the fact there will be subconscious resistance, which is our inherited programming, that doesn't want what our superconscious wants, our higher self wants, which is what I call your superconscious. Higher self is superconscious. And therefore is trying to sabotage in some way you moving forward in the direction you want. When you know that's part of the process, then you start to see regression as a sign of progression. So you start to see if your behaviour starts to go off from where you want it to be, that there are parts of you in resistance to what you want. And this is what I mean about the commitment to the journey. So, you know, if I just said to you, I want to have a baby now, and boom, there's the baby. You haven't conceived it, you haven't taken 9 months to grow it, you haven't birthed it, you haven't nurtured it in its early life, and all the rest of it, right? So the experience of going from I want a baby to I have a baby, there's no prep. You don't know what to do with it. You have no idea what to do with it. That's why as divine human selves, we also need to birth ourselves. So we need to go through an inspiration, a conception, a desire that yes, this is what we want. I want to be a conscious co-creator of my reality. I want to align with thriving rather than surviving. I want to feel grace and ease in areas of my life where I don't have it. I want to awaken my soul truth and live it. I want to move beyond the limitation and lack in my life that is manifesting as debt, as unhappiness in relationship, as unhealthiness in my body, and whatever else your truth is. That's the inspiration, the conception. Then you have to just state that idea. So you have to go through a process of growing this part of you, right? Then you have to birth this part of you. So, and then you have to look after this part of you. You have to maintain it. So I tend to work with these 6 steps. I mean, I express them in different ways, but in terms of the actual work that I do with people, essentially it's having a clear intention of what you actually want, which is to awaken your soul consciousness. 2, you have to align your life with that, okay? So which parts of your life currently are aligned with the you that you want to become, and which parts of your life right now are aligned with the you don't want to be? So physical environment, what you're doing work-wise, what you do day to day, how you start your day, how you end it, how you think about things, how you perceive the world, all of that's going to come into review, right? And from that, to help you with that, you have to activate your superconscious. You have to call your soul consciousness in. This is the gestation period. Bringing in the light of your soul consciousness and purging, which is the subconscious detox, the bits of you that are densely in resistance to it, so you can carry more of your soul light in your body. The more you call your soul light into your body, the more your vibration shifts into higher vibration, which allows you to attract the experiences into your life that mirror what you really want, rather than what you think you deserve, or you're allowed to have, or you've been told to want because of your conditioning. Then we need to go through a process of fine-tuning, and blind spot discovery. So in the gestation period, you are basically calling more and more of your soul light in, so you can rebirth yourself as your divine human self rather than your human self. So what you're doing is you're clearing the programming that is the struggle programming that you inherited, and you are upgrading that programming so that you're expecting to thrive even in challenging times, and learning how to do that. So you don't fear being alive, you don't fear being out in the world, and you are excited about the opportunity to grow, to learn from experience, rather than you've had so many painful things you're trying to avoid that everything is threatening, and you're just trying to stay safe within the walls you've created around you that you are safe within, but you can't bring anything else in that you actually want, right? So when you birth yourself, what you're doing is you're being born into two divine loving parents that you have created within you. You now reparent yourself. The voices in your head that were negative become voices in your head that are soothing, loving, encouraging, positive. You get your heart to lead your brain, your mind, rather than your mind leading your heart. Because here's the deal. If you are going to keep creating the future from the past, that is what your brain will do. Okay, that is your conditioning. You will only ever create the future from past conditioning, from past experiences. And if those experiences are not ones you want, and not ones you want to recreate, you can't keep letting your thoughts lead you where you want to go. Because those thoughts are not going to get you what you want. They're going to get you what you expect, which is what you've always had. That's why when we talk about surrendering the ego to the higher self, we're talking about bowing to the wisdom of the heart. And the heart isn't scared of pain. The heart knows that pain has a purpose. It doesn't seek out pain, but neither does it avoid it. The brain is doing everything it can, this is part of your why to survive, to avoid pain. Because it's doing everything it can to avoid pain, it keeps bumping into pain because its focus is on avoiding pain. And that's what it's focused on. So everything is a potential pain trigger. If, though, you're not fearful of pain, you know you've got the tools to handle discomfort when it comes up. You know life is transient and it's a blessing. Therefore, everyone who's in your life, you're grateful for, and you know there's a time they might not be in your life, and that is something you accept rather than you cling on to and hold for dear life, right? This is what allows you, again, to feel safe about being in the world and to thrive. Now, I don't know about you, but I had a terrible fear of death as a child. And that was my ego. That was this fear of annihilation, of being nothing. That's actually what made me seek Source, seek God, seek the divine, and understand what it meant. Because I could not stand the idea of the fact that the day I take my last breath, I cease to exist as consciousness. It did not seem real to me. And that was my starting journey. Yeah? As was some very painful first memories that influenced my expectation of marriage, of parenting, of love, that I needed to overcome. So we all have a story that leads us there. And if you know me, you know I'm not a mung bean eating, pious, mountain dwelling hippie. I'm in this real world. I'm physical, I'm real, I'm accessible, I get angry. I do all the normal things that normal people do. I like to have a glass of wine, I get a hangover. I've had a smoke, I'm good, right? I'm in this world. I'm not saying I cannot interface with this world. But I'm choosing to not be of this world. I'm choosing to understand that as a human, sensual being, I need to find a balance in this world that is good for me. If I drink 10 cups of coffee a day, I'm a wreck. If I have 2, I'm great. If I start my day with a cold shower, I'm energized. If I start my day, not looking after myself and eating crap food, then I'm going to feel like shit. I've made choices that work with me. But when I make choices that I know are out of alignment with my highest truth, I also love and accept myself through those moments because I know I'm going to learn something from it. So, part of being a divine human is you realise that you're a pioneer. You're here to lead the way into a new world paradigm. And part of being a divine human is the fact that you know you're going to get it wrong many, many times before you get it right. And so instead of looking at that as failure, you see it's all as pathway, all the steps you need to have to get on a path of success. Okay? So everything you want already exists in this world. It already exists as energy, but you need to align with it. And therefore to go through the discomfort of discovering where the programming that you've inherited is out of alignment with what you want. Now, where do you start with all of this? Because if I said a starseed is basically a human with soul consciousness, and they may well have that awareness from very early in their lives. An ascended master in training are the humans that want to live in alignment with divine law, and they're going to accept their fallibility as humans. Okay, it's really important, because angels and archangels, they never incarnated. Ascended masters did. So they were real physical flesh and blood beings that would have had full spectrum emotion as well, right? But what they did was they surrendered to their higher nature. And here's the thing, so many of us struggle with surrender because we've been told through religious programming to surrender to God, to surrender to something outside of us. Thy will be done. What we've misunderstood is thy will be done is not surrendering to something outside of you. It's actually surrendering to the wisest, most loving part of you that already has what you want and is guiding you towards having it. So surrendering your ego will to your divine will is surrendering to your soul consciousness. You never surrender to anything outside of you. The God spark is within you. And I believe this really helps people to start to make this choice. Because, you know, the journey of growing into soul consciousness doesn't happen overnight. But one of the benefits is that you end up, well, moving out of the cycle of karma. Karma no longer is something that affects you in the same way, because you are conscious. You are aware of the impact you can have on others, and you're aware of how they can have impact on you. And instead of harbouring resentments and grudges and all the rest of it and looking for ways to be vindicated or to create some kind of response and reaction, you do the inner work that shifts your vibration. And when you shift your vibration into compassion, which has all sorts of different qualities, including forgiveness, discernment, accountability, transparency, openness, a few others, but I'm not going to go there just now. All of those things allow you to be able to let go of needing to keep doing cause and effect as a way to learn. You take the lesson and you're able to shift your vibration through it. And we do need tools to do that. We have different types of tools to do it. I work with, well, multidimensional tools, which I call alchemical tools, spheres of compassion, cacao, crystals. What else I work with? Leslie's Oracle Healing Cards, because they speak to my soul. They have helped me to be able to get into alignment as quickly as possible. So what I teach people to do is basically how to get into alignment with what they want as quickly as possible, and how to pick themselves up as quickly as possible when they fall down, so that they no longer fear falling down. It's not a big deal. Oh, I fell down, bruised my knee, never mind, I'll get up. Oh, that didn't work out quite the way I expected it to. Never mind, I know how to deal with heartbreak, or I know how to let people go, or I know how to see the best in others. I know how to reframe this in my life so it doesn't become something like a sword of Damocles that I'm trying to avoid coming to get me, right? So you let go of everything feeling threatening, and instead that anxiety becomes excitement, and that is the invitation. So what does it mean to birth your divine human self? It means to birth your soul consciousness into your physical human life, and to live from that soul consciousness rather than from your programming, which we call the ego, which is wired to survive and is guaranteed to keep you in struggle. Even though you may think you're having wins and you're moving forward because you've got a pay rise and you've got a bigger house and you've got a husband, you've got all that, at some point you realise none of those things give you the sense of fulfilment you want. And part of our journey as well is to learn we don't need to strive. Everything we want is here already. We just need to access it as a vibration, align with it, and make it as simple and easy as possible for us to be able to actually bring in what we want in such a way that we don't have to suffer unnecessarily. We accept suffering and pain are part of the human condition in life, but we don't seek it out. So I always invite people to take the easy way rather than the hard way, because you're going to need to utilize that survival programming to get you through the tough moments of the easy way. But what you do with it is, instead of undermining your journey, you get it to help you to push through. And this is where I just wanted to say a little bit about the different ways that you can access bringing more soul consciousness into your body. So obviously I teach lots of different tools, but like if you're new to me, then the absolute freebie is the fact that I do the YouTube co-creation meditations for the new moon and the full moon. Now, they kind of give you some sense of what it means to claim your I am presence, which is your soul truth, your higher self, and to direct your will towards a certain feeling, vibration and outcome. and then to clear your resistance to it. So they're like a shop front experience. You haven't done any of the back end work, but you get a sense of what it can feel like once you have cleared your programming, and how you can sustain a higher vibration which is more fulfilling to you all of the time, right? Or most of the time, and how you can get yourself there without needing others to get you there. That comes from practice. And this is that self-mastery. Once you're born, you've been nurtured through that early infancy of being a divine human being, and then you start to get your wings, get the stabilizer wheels off, and off you go, right? Next step from that, and I mean including in that, is the Star Salutation Prosperity Practice on my website. This is just, again, a tool to help you to start to break down the conditioning that keeps you in lack, so that you feel more open to maybe investing in doing some work with me, doing a course, doing something that you may feel is beyond you, because till now you've never ever spent money on your own personal journey, only on things you've been told you should spend money on because those are valuable, and you are not valuable. Your self-development is not valuable. You discovering your power isn't valuable. So only if you can actually earn money out of teaching someone else something, or you learn some kind of skill that is transferable in the workforce, is that valuable. That's all BS, okay? You are the most valuable commodity you could possibly imagine. If you can actually, commodity is not even the right word, but you're the most valuable resource you could possibly imagine, okay? When you access your power to co-create your reality, you become super powerful. When you are super powerful, you no longer need to be part of the conditioned tribe. You create your new tribe. You create a tribe which is a vibrational match to what you want, rather than trying to fit into other people's tribes so that you're accepted and you're not on your own. So you become a game maker, not even a game changer, all right? And this is how we build this new earth that is based on thriving rather than struggling. Next step from Star Salutation Prosperity Practice is liberation from limitation. You know, this is a course that teaches you how to make the mundane magical, how to look at how your mind operates in this world, and to start to change your consciousness. When you change your consciousness, things around you start to change. And this isn't going to do the deep diving work for you, but it's going to give you quick wins. It's going to show you how, as you adjust yourself and your perception of what's possible, other things change as well. And by the end of this 6-week course, you have looked at the 3 areas of your life that most need an upgrade, and you've rewritten your script around them, your narrative around them, and you've recorded that narrative. You have put your soul in control, but you've done it with your conscious mind. And it's really powerful because it teaches you what's possible with that 5 to 10% of your consciousness that you're in control of. That then leads you to the deep diving, which is either Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me, or the Super Conscious Co-Creating Method. This one's for one-to-one work, or for people who've done Fearless that then want to move into their divine blueprint. And the Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me program is anyone who's working with me one-to-one initially is going through all of that anyway. But this is a group coaching program that not only aligns your conscious mind with your soul truth, but it also does the deprogramming and reprogramming of your subconscious, so it's no longer antagonizing your soul truth and your conscious will. Okay, so many of the testimonials you've heard have come from Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me graduates and Liberation from Limitation graduates, because people end up doing both. This is not an either or situation. What I want to keep bringing you into is everything's coexisting at the same time, folks. Fear paradigm is coexisting as the love paradigm, the thrive paradigm. What you experience is going to be what you energize, what you put your energy into, what you invest in, right? That is going to be what you experience, what you have evidence of. Once you've cleared the erroneous beliefs and conditioning that says things can only be this way, and this is the way it's going to be for you, and you better accept your lot. And every time you go beyond that, or you try to go beyond it, you get slapped around the face, right? What Fearless does is it helps you get beyond the fear of the slap in the face, and it gets you motivated forward even when that comes up. Same with Super Conscious Co-Creating Method. You apply it to anything in your life. Fearless is the Super Conscious Co-Creating Method in a group format, but you're not really aware it's that until you do some deeper work, because shifting from one way of seeing the world to another way of seeing the world not only takes will, it takes practice, and it takes consistent practice, and then you need to apply those tools in unfamiliar territory, not just familiar territory. So you need to evolve into the you that can maintain the changes you make in your world, right? It's one thing to make a change, it's another thing to sustain it. So people typically go from the journey with me of being aware they're awakened star seeds, wanting some support in growing that starseed consciousness, starting where they can. So if they know that their mind is the biggest enemy and they don't feel ready right now to do the deep diving, they start with liberation from limitation. But if they knew their mind is their worst enemy, but they are ready to do deep diving, they do fearless and they do liberation afterwards. Does that make sense to you? It's like you can go either way. But through that journey of then basically awakening that starseed consciousness, clearing the conditioning, and then setting your vibration of where you want to go next, that is the journey of the divine human, because you're going to go through a period where you've pulled up all the roots of your old conditioning and you've planted new seeds of your new conditioning, but it doesn't seem like anything's taken root yet. You're not really seeing any evidence yet in the world, and it's so easy to go back to your old program and go, well, nothing's happening. And it's like, hold on a minute, how do you grow a plant? Do you expect the moment you put something in soil that it's suddenly sprouted? No, right? So same as real humans, divine humans need all of the nurturing of the sunlight, the love, the positive praise, the water, the good nutrients in the soil, and the trust in divine timing for these seeds to sprout. But then they start to sprout, and you start to see your personal world is changing so much, and you're enjoying the things that you have. You want to be a force for good in the world. You're ready to activate your divine blueprint after you have awakened your starseed consciousness, and you have embodied that starseed consciousness. You need to integrate and embody it. And then you're ready for your divine blueprint. Okay, your divine blueprint activation. And that's like, this is my soul purpose. I'm mastering my personal life really nicely now. That's happening well, I'm good. And I really want to teach and share something in the world. This is my flavour of what I'm here to share with others. And in the simply put experience that I see, people go from a 6-pointed star energy field, Merkaba, to a diamond shape. And this is when you've integrated your divine masculine and feminine, you've evolved their consciousness, so they're no longer wounded. Your inner child is well supported by that higher consciousness of the divine mother and the divine father. And now that inner child knows it's deserving of everything it wants. Instead of constantly being needy and whiny because it's not getting things, it's using the power of its imagination to dream up what it wants, and taking the guidance and the support of the divine feminine and masculine to help that happen. That is when the 6-pointed star becomes a diamond, because the two triangles that make the star separate and the bases join. And that's where your Merkaba becomes a diamond. And it spins within your sphere. So one of the things I know happens through this work is people become way more visual. They can see things when they couldn't see them before, much more clairaudient, much more able to sense beyond the physical. And I want to make this now a little bit more about the world around us, because I'm calling on everybody to awaken to this consciousness right now. We need more and more beings that are consciously aware that they are souls living in this reality, and that this reality is an illusion. Because it is. It's a programmed, conditioned, struggle paradigm illusion. No sooner are we like, you know, there's the one threat has been sorted, and there's another threat, and there's another threat. And everybody is looking outside of themselves for the moment when they can feel safe. And I promise you this, brothers and sisters and unicorns and rainbows, it's never going to come from outside. It's when we decide we are safe, when we decide to take our power back, when we decide to practice discernment ourselves, and instead of waiting for someone else to tell us what to do, we actually take it upon ourselves to practice our critical thinking, to drop the fear story that makes us panic in a fight, flight, freeze response, which we'll need some help with, right? You can't just do that if you've not done it before, but you get some help with it. And then as a result of that, you start to see things for what they are, and you can easily separate illusion from truth, from divine truth. And we have human laws, divine laws. So divine humans start to operate by divine law, and they stop being so beholden to the human laws that they're scared of, okay? Now, you and I both know that you barely have to walk out your door and you're breaking one law or another, because there are so many laws. How could you possibly know? And at the same time, ignorance is no excuse in the eyes of the law. You're fucked. You're fucked from the start. Sorry for swearing, right? So when we decide that actually this isn't the way we want our planet to be anymore, that we're going to stop giving our power away to others, that we're going to decide the type of world that we're going to create for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and that we're going to be instigators of that change, that's when you start to see the world around you becoming the paradise planet rather than Armageddon. And that's the invitation, you know, both are going to coexist for a while. I'm in my own little bubble and I'm very happy in it, thank you very much. I've got peace, I've got love, I've got all of the resources that I need, and I teach this work to others, right? And it brings me tremendous joy to see them liberate themselves from all of the struggle that they're experiencing. Is it easy? Well, it's simple, but when you are working with a part of yourself that is determined to survive, that isn't serving your highest good, that's when you need to use your willpower, and that's when you need the support, because that's when most of us want to give up. It's too hard, it's too difficult, I can't deal with the voices in my head. Yes, you can, but overcome this. So, superconscious co-creating method is the one-to-one work. It's the one-to-one work that some people will do with me from the start. Some people want to work with me for a year from the start. They want to go through all of this process, and if you want to do all of it, it takes a year, okay? Others just want to work with my 4-month programs, which you can do Superconscious Co-Creating Method as a 4-month program to get you specifically aligned with a specific intention that you have, whether it's babies, whether it's marriage, bringing in a soulmate, whether it's a different relationship with yourself. There is the Fearless, Empowered and Free to Be Me program for those who need soul tribe, who need to be around others of like mind and to lift their vibration together through each other's struggles, and really to do that Awakening StarSeed bit. And there's liberation from limitation for those that need to understand everything first in order to feel safe, and first of all are going to need to do that mind work first. Aside from liberation from limitation, everything else starts with a breakthrough call with me, and that's available on my homepage on my website. You do pay for it, but I take the cost of the call off whatever program you end up doing with me. So it's just for you to put that commitment forward that you want a breakthrough. You're going to get a breakthrough from that call anyway, but you decide to do something beyond that with me, then we're going to put the cost of the call towards the work that you're going to do. What is the right thing for you? You know, none of the things I've co-created, folks, came because I had fuckloads of money in the bank. I didn't. I had to borrow. I had to expand my vision. I had to believe in myself. I had to challenge the doubt in me. The difference between me and others is I just kept going. I kept going. I kept getting up every time that I fell down. I refused to concede to the fact that life was just going to be one struggle after another. And guess what? My life has aligned with the reality I want. Because it's not one struggle after another. Yes, there's challenges, but how I deal with them is very different now. And how I feel about myself, quality of relationships, everything. Totally different. I'm enjoying life. And I'm discovering more now that actually there are other elements in my life that I want to activate and explore. And everything I've done on the way is necessary. Just like for you, everything you've done on the way is necessary. But nothing you want is going to come in this little place that you're used to. Oh, I can't afford it. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I haven't got the time. Fine. But those are the excuses, because when something comes your way and you're like, I want that, then you find a way to make it happen. That's what I did. That's what all of my clients that are succeeding have done. Those who don't succeed are the ones that walk away, that decide they're going to stay small, that decide the risk is too big, that decide that what I'm suggesting to them is fantastical, is impossible, and actually who am I to do that, to potentially suggest that they might need to reach beyond their comfort zone? Well, they're not going to find anything they want in their comfort zone, folks, okay? If what you've got currently is working for you, you'd have the results that you want. So you have to challenge everything you've inherited, including your beliefs around what you need to do, what a good person is, how to relate to money, how to relate to yourself, how to relate to love, all of that. Because life is magical if you let it be. It is not magical if you don't let it be, right? So open to this invitation that the better it gets, the better it gets. There is help at hand. I might not be the person you resonate with. You might like these ideas, but you can't stand my voice, or you don't like what I look like, whatever, I don't care. Find another teacher. But for the people that feel this resonance, all you have to do is step forward. Tell me you're scared, but you want me to help you find a way, and I will help you find a way. And if you have financial issues, you need to start with the Star Salutation Prosperity Practice and start doing that daily. Okay? I've come from tax credits. My journey has taken me from income support through tax credits and housing benefit as a single mum to being able to pay my own way, to then being able to attract a wonderful partner and live in a mortgage-free house together, right? That is mine and his. Now, I didn't create all of that myself, but I got into the vibrational state where I could accept it. So, when you align yourself with the vibration, wonderful things happen, okay? Got more money in my bank account now than I ever have had. All of the people that have been working with me through the COVID time are prospering finding ways to evolve their business, their career, everything. Having babies, getting pregnant, the lot. The things that you want don't stop because there's something going on outside. But we take what is our personal journey, what we personally want, and we allow that to drive us forward so that not only does our own life change, but the world around us changes. And I want to just finish off with mentioning one of my clients, so I'm just going to call Jay. And she's really struggled with her head. She's nearly graduating from Fearless at the moment. And she's really been struggling because she feels incredibly sensitive to the world around her. She'd done virtually no work with me before. She'd come to a few pregnancy yoga classes with me, I believe, when she was pregnant, or it might have even been baby yoga, I can't remember. But I've hardly done any work with her. She decided that life was just so stressful because she couldn't sleep anymore. She was so anxious, always in tears, needed to change. And, you know, everything was hanging on this program, right? So there was a tremendous sense of expectation. And in the middle of all of this pandemic's, you know, happening and everybody is freaking out. And she's very, very passionate about the fact that actually having done her research, she's not prepared to follow the narrative. And she's challenging it. But she didn't feel like she was very powerful in it. Now, this woman's gone from being in a constant state of fear and anxiety, suppressed emotions she didn't know what to deal with, to finding an inner power. Not only that means that she's allowing herself to express her emotions, to feel her emotions, to start to see that things are possible that up until now she only believed a lottery win would allow her, to see where she's creating her own suffering and to stop that, to deal with the inheritance she had. And she's also kicking ass in her children's school because she is not buying into the narrative and she refuses. She's challenged the headmaster, she's challenged everybody, and she's getting shit changed because she's taken her fear, her anger, and she's transmuted it into passion for change. And that's what I'm excited about, because if I didn't do that myself, my energy is powerful. If I allowed my anger to run my life, it's very disruptive. Right? I'm a passionate, powerful person. So being aware of that power, utilising it constructively, being an agent for change, a force for change, that's available to all of us. So I'm going to leave this here. I know it's been a long one, but I hope it helps. And if you've got any questions that come about as a result of this, please let me know. Because just like when we're giving birth, we want to give up. When you are birthing a new part of yourself, you will want to give up. And that's when we need doulas, midwives, guides, coaches, whatever you want to say, you can do this, you've got this, I believe in you, I know you can do it, I know you'll get through it, trust me, let's do this together, one step at a time. And that's what people like me do, is we help you to move through the door that you need to move through. We can't do anything other than say, you can do this, and I'll help you and I'll show you how, because I did it too. Let me hold your hand. You come to me scared and I'll help you make that decision. But you stay away because you're too scared to actually make that change because you might actually get what you want, then all that you're really scared of is how you're going to maintain it. And that's again what I want to say to you is, I feel it's really important when we're learning a new way to live that we also learn how to maintain that. And that's what I teach people, and that's why the length of time I work with people is longer. It's 4 months or a year versus just trying to do it really, really quickly and, oh, you've reprogrammed your circuitry, you're fine now, off you go. And you've got no idea how to work in the world. No idea how to operate from your new platform. I think I've said everything. Yeah. So, Liberation from Limitation starts 24th of this month. It's on offer till the 21st, so you've got 6 days. Please make the most of it. I'll put the link with this video if I can, otherwise it will be in the post above. Fearless, there are going to be spaces opening up for that in early February. So now's the time to get in touch, and if you want to join me with the Super Conscious Co-Creating Method, I literally have space for one client. That's it. So you want to do some one-to-one, get in touch ASAP so we can book you in. And everyone else, I hope to see you at yoga. Remember, we're offering really good deals with the yoga. The multidimensional yoga will really open you up, but it's not going to do anything other than inspire into what is possible, same as the YouTube videos. They will inspire you into what is possible so that you'll then do the mind work and do the physical, emotional, psychological work that Liberation from Limitation and the group and one-to-one coaching work offers you, so you can really step into your divine human self. And as I said, it doesn't mean you're perfect, it just means you accept yourself, you allow yourself to be in this world but not of it, and to have lots of fun along the way. Love you. Take care. Have a good one. Share this with a friend. Bye.